Hey guys, Huzz here bringing you another video. Now welcome back to Patch Note Breakdown with HuzzyGames. So today is 11.12 and I'll be recording this, uploading it tonight. So if you appreciate the effort to keep you guys updated, basically the night before the patch notes, throw a like on the video and let me know in the comments what you think of the upcoming patch. So it seems to be a pretty big one. We can see the update here, buffs and nerfs. So what we'll do is we'll bring open a bigger version of it, so we can go over it a bit more detail, and then we'll kind of go into the specifics. So, nerfs. Varus. Nasus. Kaiser. Wukong. Renekton. Talon. Gnar. And Udyr. So once again, it has to be becoming a meme at this point. The AP melee champions that many of us are like, completely not touched again. So SYLAS will continue to be the pick or ban champion in the higher tiers, and nothing is being done. Buffs, however, Rammus, which is quite interesting, HECARIM, which is questionable, Aphelios, Draven, Alawi, Malphite, Ziggs, and Jarvan. We have an update of Dr. Mundo, so yes, the update for Dr. Mundo is coming, this patch, and we have then two new skins, which are the Pool Party Prom and Set skins, which is, again, going in the general theme of what Riot does with skins nowadays. But anyway, let's see what this is all about. Straight off the bat, I do think some champs are missing from that list, but we'll see how it goes. We'll also just mention in the coming weeks, there is going to be a big update when it comes to movement. We did make that kind of league discussion about movement, that Riot thinks movement's too much. There has been an update to that, and my only initial thought to it, because I know some people will ask, because we'll probably eventually cover it in a patch note, is I'm happy that they're kind of getting rid of the jump in Stride Breaker. That was one of the items that I mentioned. But they're not doing that with Gale Force. They're reducing Gale Force bonus movement speed by 1%. That's not the issue with it. Feel free to make the actual movement speed higher. It's the dash. That's the whole point. But anyway. So, first to begin with this patch, though, is Dr. Mundo. So, Dr. Mundo is going to also have a legacy skins. So, like the old skins that, they're bringing back and updating. You'll be able to purchase them again in this upcoming patch and the next patch, and then they'll go back in the vault. So if you are a fan of Mundo, get his skins that you want. Aphelios, and my thought, by the way, just on Mundo, it's hard to even call it a rework. Like, it's basically Mundo 1.5. I wouldn't even call it Mundo 2.0. The biggest thing is the art update, not the actual kit change. If anything, like, his kit's fundamentally the same. Yes, there's little changes here or there, but he's weaker in team fights because of his new passive and stronger in 1v1s. That's the way that I would define it. Aphelios, though, not seen much of this champion. Again, arguably has a broken kit, so either he's going to be either broken or useless, because if they make his stats too strong, he'll be broken and always played, and if he's nerfed, well then his stats have to be nerfed to make sure he's not played all the time, unless Riot decide to change his kit, which they don't seem they want to do. So, magic resist base stats is going up by 4, and the AD growth per level is going up by 0.6. That's actually a decent amount. Severnum, the Scythe Pistol, so the number of attacks is being buffed. So maximum number of attacks was 6 plus 1 per 33% bonus attack speed. It's now 6 base plus 1 per 50% bonus attack speed. So he's going to get... is that technically a nerf? Wait, that is technically a nerf, isn't it? Because... yeah, that is a nerf. So that means if he had 99% bonus attack speed, it would plus 3. If he has 99% of bonus attack speed now, it would technically only would do 1, because it's per 50%. For it to do 2, it would have to be at 100% bonus attack speed. So even at 100% bonus attack speed, it's only doing 2, where it used to do 3 and 99%. Why? On-hit damage of it, however, is going up. Okay, so there you go. So it's doing more damage per anyway, with 10 more maximum and more damage ratios of bonus AD. The healing of it also is going down, so they're nerfing healing. And the healing from abilities is going up. So the healing from auto attacks is going down, but the healing from the actual use of the spell is going up. Okay. Interesting. It's a kind of a funny way to do it, I guess. Then also the Chakram, the sentry, the sentry that you put down the little tower like a Heimerdinger. Sentry damage is going up. Yep, just straight up a buff. It's doing more base damage and its bonus AD is going up as well. So interesting changes, I would say, overall buffs to Aphelios. Not sure he'll still be around. Will he make it meta? I'm not really sure. Draven. So again, one of the, I would say, losers of Season 11 in the fact that the items have pushed away early game. And, you know, some champions have still made it work. There is a reason that Renekton has been still around here or there. It's because you can kind of make Renekton still work, and he can still be relatively useful in some role in mid to late game. Even though his, let's say, carry potential might fall off, he still has presence, is the word that I would say. He's still a big crocodile in the middle of a team fight that you don't want on your AD carry. Draven, however, if he doesn't get ahead in the early game, he does struggle. His actual carry presence goes down, and then it's not like a Renekton that you can be a distraction or you're being tanky or you're doing CC that much. Draven is the carry, and his carry potential is non-existent really unless he gets really far ahead. So the bonus damage, I'd expect early game buff. They are doing a 5 damage buff from the beginning. Yep, just a straight 5 damage buff, and then a bonus AD is also 5% increase around the board. So that is actually quite a big buff for Draven. Obviously, Q is your maxing ability, so you'll be getting to rank 3, 4, 5 as quick as possible. So that is actually quite considerable, and maybe that will actually give Draven the power that he needs to get ahead in lane phase. I doubt it, if I'm completely honest, but maybe. Gnar. So you do see a little bit of Gnar here or there. Gnar is obviously designed to be a little bit more of a careful or safe top laner, that yes, you have the all-in potential of tanks when you're in Mega Gnar for that mid to late game team fight, but then in lane phase you have the safety of being ranged. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You just have to time it really well, but it's a bit too safe with also its harassment, and they are just, you know, toning down his AD by 2. And, you know, that might not sound like a lot, but if you do 10 auto attacks, that 2 AD nerf, that does add up. Like, that's the difference between potentially dying and not dying now to early game Gnar. So, you know, it does add up. HECARIM. So, HECARIM to me is still a problematic champion at best. I actually had a HECARIM earlier in my game today. The video I do not think is being uploaded. I was tempted. I was playing Blitzcrank. Me and my Jhin, we actually won lane, did really well. We were against, I think, a Vayne Yuumi, and we were winning. We were doing awesome. But then my team, the mid-top jungle, fed pretty bad. Enemy had a HECARIM jungle. He took over the game, did double damage anybody, especially that, obviously, as you'd imagine, mid-game, the Yuumi just permanently attached to HECARIM. But there was nothing you could do to that champion. He outruns you, he bursts you, you know, HECARIM. He is a problematic champ. And they're buffing him. And the buffs look to be decent. So the armor has gone up by 3. That will help just early game jungle presence to not be squishy in the jungle. Also 1v1 presence, early game being a bit tankier. But then also the Q Rampage, which is something that I think they nerfed a while back. The damage ratio of it was 75% bonus AD. It's now 85% bonus AD. And remember, HECARIM gets AD based off his movement speed. So he does get bonus AD. So this to me is quite questionable. I don't think most people, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but if someone said, you know, what needs desperate buffs right now, I don't think HECARIM would be anywhere near the top of people's lists. Because HECARIM has had a lot of presence this season. It's not like, oh, he's been gone for 3 seasons. Oh, yeah, give him a buff. He's been here quite a lot in Season 11. He's had the, you know, when Cinderhulk was arguably broken, he was that champion that everybody was talking about alongside Udyr and Skarner. So it's not like he's not been around. But for some reason, Riot just wants HECARIM in the meta, I guess. Because sometimes I will say, you do have to remember, Riot is the people that arguably make the meta happen. Yes, there'll be some players that will try to innovate, and they'll try to kind of find gaps in it, and they'll innovate that way. But fundamentally, if Riot wants something to be meta, they will buff it. If they don't want something to be played, they will nerf it. The best example I can give of this of recent history is MSI was going to happen, the mid-season invitational tournament. They were seeing a trend starting to appear of people playing Heimer in the bot lane. So what did they do before the tournament? They nerfed Heimer, even though his win rate, his pick rate, nothing goes towards Riot's own way of balancing the game. Nothing. It was literally because Riot didn't want Heimer in bot lane during MSI, because that might be boring for broadcast and pro play, but it was actually quite good. But that's the point. Riot actually make the meta make or break a lot of the time. So if some designer within Riot, I will say, has, you know, they love HECARIM, they'll try to be as unbiased as possible, but we're all human. You just might find, oh, HECARIM's in the conversation more often than not, or HECARIM's in a conversation more than SYLAS is to be nerfed, or whatever it may be. That is the human element of balance a little bit. Alawi, not really see much of Alawi. She's still pretty good. A lot of people still complain about Alawi a lot because she is that champion that if you don't have an answer for her, like you cannot have that CC, she can take over a game. A lot of the time, though, with modern-day League of Legends, a lot of champions have CC, so obviously Alawi can struggle. And obviously, the higher rating you go, coordination comes in, and that's where Alawi really struggles. But anyway, the base mana growth increase. So her mana growth is going 50 from 40. That is quite good. I would say, you know, as someone that used to play Alawi, her mana is quite a problem area. You know, you use 2 E's, a couple WQs in a combo, and you're out of mana completely. And you're like, oh, okay. And especially in modern day Alawi, it's the Emax build that is the best. So mana is quite needed, but there we go. That might help a little bit, but I don't think it's going to make Alawi meta. Alawi players are probably happy about that. Jarvan W cooldown decreased. It's going from 12 to 9 seconds. That's actually quite good. A quarter, 25% buff basically for this ability. That's pretty good. You know, W, a lot of the time people don't understand, is a big survival spell for Jarvan. If I'm not mistaken, it's obviously the shield, but when if he's the more people around you when you press W as Jarvan, the bigger the shield gets. It can be a really big shield. So, you know, a level 2, level 3, 2v2 fight, 9-second cooldown, you might be able to use it twice in the early game as a fight or whatever. Like, that's pretty good. Not bad. Kaiser, so again, one of, you know, the champs of Season 11, one of the winners, we say. You know, I said Draven's one of the losers this season. Kaiser's definitely one of the winners in combination with the items. So the cooldown of her Q, which obviously is her main kind of damage ability in lane phase, is being nerfed in the early to mid game, but staying the same at rank 5. So around level 9, it'll probably will, you know, it's the same. But it was 8-second cooldown down to 6 seconds at max rank. It's now a 10-second cooldown down to 6. So, you know, just calming it down a little bit that she can't constantly use that Q in the early game. I think that's perfectly fine. I still think Kaiser's going to be played, though. Because why wouldn't you play Kaiser? She has everything an AD carry wants. She's got damage, mobility, stealth, you know, positional help, attack speed, ranged, you know, shields. Like, she's got a lot. She's a modern day League of Legends champ, even though she's probably like 3 or 4 years old by now, which is kind of crazy. The last 3 years of champions, I would say statistically, have been the strongest champions there's ever been. Like, they are just really strong. So yeah. Malphite, W on hit damage increased. Woof, buffing Malphite, man. Okay. On hit damage from Thunderclap, which obviously is a World of Warcraft reference, 10 to 50 plus 10% armor. It's now 15 to 55 plus 15% armor. Woo! That's actually quite a big buff. I'm going to be honest. I don't think Malphite needed a buff. Malphite's still pretty damn good in top lane. I've laned against them recently. I wouldn't say they feel weak. I'd actually say they feel pretty solid. You could say rock solid. Sorry, I had to do it. But I think he's fine. I think that might be a bit overkill buff, to be honest, of what Malphite is. In essence, Malphite is the rock armor champion. He's great for autofills, and he's pretty good against ranged targets if you don't know what to play. He's good. So I'm not sure he needed that buff, but it's going to be probably a very welcomed buff for people that do play Malphite. Maybe I'll play Malphite in the next few days and give it a go. Rammus. So I played Rammus recently. I don't think you would have seen the video by now. I think it might be tomorrow or the day after's video, and that would have been pre-buff Rammus, because he's about to get a buff. And I will say, he didn't feel that bad when I played him, and now he's getting a buff. So the base armor of W that you get when you press W, he's getting 10 more armor. That ain't bad. It was 30 base armor, and now it's 40. And now ultimate, which, by the way, it was the first time I ever played with it. I loved it. Obviously, it's now a jump that Rammus actually springs instead of doing the tremors like wherever he is. It lands and does the tremors there, but Rammus gets a big boing. I love it. It's fantastic. Again, feel free to watch that video to see it in action. The cooldown of it is being buffed quite heavily. 20 seconds in the early game at rank 1, which is level 6. Then a 15 odd second nerf, buff, at rank 2, and then a 10-second buff at rank 3. that's pretty good. That's going to help Rammus. Good utility. Obviously, having his ultimate up more. And obviously, it's a fantastic utility ability now that it literally is a jump. He's a running champion by design. Well, not anymore. He actually has a proper jump. It's like HECARIM. HECARIM's a running champion, but also not really, and like, you know, not really compared to like an Udyr, because HECARIM has that big dash with his ultimate. Like, it's not really a running champion at that point. Garen is a running champion. Udyr is a running champion. They don't have ways to properly get on something. Rammus now does. HECARIM always has. So yeah, pretty good for Rammus. Why the hell is Nasus getting nerfed? Passive lifesteal decrease. Okay, I mean, I don't mind about that. Lifesteal is still broken in League. So the passive, a lot of people may not realize Nasus does have passive lifesteal. That's how he can just stay in lane for a million years if he controls his mana really well. His lifesteal at level 1 is 12% base. It's now 10%. At max rank, it was 24, now 22. So it's a 2% nerf. I mean, it's not going to do a crazy amount, is it? But, like, a little bit less sustain, I don't think is a bad thing in modern day League, because there is still too much sustain in the game. Renekton. So, Q non-champion healing reduce. Oh, I'd agree with this one. So, again, like what I just said, sustain is too high in the game. So, Renekton, in the early game especially, really good sustain with his Q, as you all know. And he does that not by hitting champions a lot of the time. He does that by just farming the waves. So the Q, the healing, non-champion healing for his Q was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 4% AD. It's now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 3%. If I'm not, well, the healing doesn't sound like a lot there. 3, 7? I'm guessing that's per target. So if you know, if you hit 10 minions and you do 3 healing, well, then that's 30 base healing from 10 minions, plus then 4% bonus AD. If you have 100 AD bonus, you then get 4 extra healing, so you'd get 34 healing per Q, and that doesn't include the empowered one, which is where most of the healing comes from. The healing one was 12 at rank 1, 21 at rank 5, which obviously Renekton maxes Q. So again, 21 if there was 10 minions, let's just give that example randomly, 10 minions with empowered Q, with your rage bar, that suddenly heals 210 base healing, plus 12% bonus AD. You have 100 AD, oh, you're suddenly healing an extra, 12% bonus AD, 100 AD, extra 12, then, that doesn't sound right for some reason, but basically you're healing quite a lot if you're empowered. Now, it's going from 9 to 6 per hit, and max rank 21 to 18, and 12% down to 9%. So that's actually quite a big sustain nerf for Renekton. Doesn't hurt his damage. That's the point of Renekton's early game. A little bit of a sustain to stay in lane early, but that is going to hurt this champion quite a lot, I will say. Because a lot of his point is Renekton will look for those kind of aggressive early trades on, let's say, most top laners, Camille, Darius, whatever it may be. And even if Renekton goes even in the trade in the early game, and by the way, Renekton should probably win most trades in the early game, the point of Renekton, he could sustain back up. There's a lot of champions in League, in top lane especially, that don't have inbuilt sustain, like a Renekton does. So that's what gave him a big lane advantage. So this is going to hurt this champion quite a lot. And the funny thing is, I've always said I would hate to be a designer of this game. Like, you know, we all kind of say, oh, I could do a better job, but I would never want to do the job. If you look at the tweets of, like, the buffs and nerfs, there's always people, especially, I'll say, one-tricks, moaning and crying, literally, about changes. There's always a couple of Renekton mains. So I bet they're loving this right now, even though Renekton has been, even though I personally don't get it, he has been one of the MVP picks of Season 11. We can't argue with that. Like, I can't. Like, even though I don't get it, I can't argue that Renekton has been literally one of the most played champions this season. Whether it be solo queue or pro play, he's been there. So clearly he's obviously quite strong. I'm just going to play safe and not let him get ahead. But most people don't do that, I guess. Or in pro play, they can force things to happen with a Renekton a lot more than solo queue can. But anyway. Talon. W initial damage decrease and return damage increased. Oh, I like this. I like this. So a lot of Talons will they'll hit the outward W, but they'll always miss you'll always dodge the internal one. And it was annoying to get hit by the outward one. It's like, dude, that was actually quite a lot of damage. Shouldn't it be the other way around? You should be rewarded by getting hit by both. And that's what now they're doing. So the initial damage was 45 to 105 plus 55% bonus AD. It's now 40 up to 80. So, woo, that's actually a little early game nerf, but more a late game nerf of base damage, but even bigger. 50.5% bonus AD. It's now 40% bonus AD, 15% nerf, but the return damage has gone up considerably, and 10% bonus AD buff for the return damage. It was 70, it's now 80. So that is quite a lot of damage. But again, I would wager, especially in lane phase, most Talons don't hit both parts of the rake. They just hit the external one, not the return. So I bet Talon mains are really disliking this, but I love this change. Because again, you got punished by a Talon just going, eh, and then half of the ability you're dodging. And I don't know, it just didn't seem like that it was that well designed. But I think that's really good for like non-Talon players. Udyr. So again, we mentioned earlier some of the winners of the season. Udyr earlier in the season was one of the winners when the items arguably was in his favor, especially Cinder Hulk. Is that the one? No, not Cinder Hulk. Chem Tank, Turbo Chem Tank. That might be it. Alongside HECARIM, etc. So Phoenix stance is doing... What is it doing? Our cone damage decreased. So the base damage of it is going down to reduce his, speed in jungle clearing and all that, and even burst damage in the game. The ability power ratio is going up. But the funny thing is, I'm not really sure people buy ability power on Udyr. I'm sure some people do, but most people don't. But that will be just an overall nerf to Phoenix Udyr. So I think that's fine. Again, Udyr is legitimately like a full tank champion usually, and he does a lot of damage. And that's where some people do question, especially in League of Legends, why is a full tank doing that much damage? Should they be doing that much damage? And Udyr is definitely a culprit of doing maybe too much damage for building no damage items. But yeah. Varus, W maximum bonus damage decreased. So the maximum bonus damage from targets missing health was 10.8. Now it's 20. It was 10.8, then 25.2. It's now 9 to 21. So quite a considerable nerf on the W at max rank. And obviously that is where a lot of his big chunk damage with the lethality does come into play. But that has been nerfed. I haven't seen too much, I will say, Varus anyway. But I'm sure some people are playing it. But again, whether it was warranted a nerf or not, I'm not sure. Because, for me, it's something to have a nerf. I'm like, dude, it's in every game. Pick or ban. Oh my god, Riot nerf it. Varus ain't pick or ban right now. I can't remember the last time I saw one, to be honest. So, yeah. Anyway, Wukong. Base damage growth decreased. Q damage ratio decreased. I mean, again, I do see Wukongs from time to time. Do I think he's a problem? No, not really. But anyway, the base attack damage growth is gone down by 0.5 per level, and the Q crushing blow has also gone down by 5%. So just kind of topping, like little, think of Wukong or 100% as a bar. That's where he is right now. This is like just a little slice at the top, just a little nerf that's just going to make him feel a little bit weaker. That's about it. I think he'll be okay. Whether the nerf was needed or not, I'm not really sure, but I have seen some Wukongs do pretty good, but I will say it usually requires the Wukong to be pretty good at Wukong. I think you can't just jump on Wukong and do quite well. I've seen a lot of Wukongs also muck up quite badly, and if a Wukong gets behind, he kind of has the Renekton effect. Like, his carry potential goes massively down, but the good thing Wukong has got is that big AoE knock-up that obviously nowadays he can do it 2 times at different locations, so he has more utility, you could argue, but weird. Ziggs. Again, okay. I haven't even looked at this. Are they going to turn Ziggs into a burst mage? Probably not, but that's the only way you really make him useful right now, because that's what they've had to do with basically every other artillery mage, and to the point that the upcoming artillery mage is no longer an artillery mage because Riot knows they can't play in this current meta, because I guess Riot doesn't like artillery mages anymore. Right. Q base damage increased later. R missile speed increased. Oh, that sounds a bit bursty. Again, even though it doesn't do damage, a lot of the time Ziggs will throw his Q in his burst combo, but the ultimate will miss because it's too slow. If they speed it up, and they have actually quite a lot, that's actually quite a big speed buff. That means it's going to be included in his burst combo now because it won't miss as frequently. But anyway, the Q is going up by 20 base damage at rank 5, so that's going to help a little bit, but not overly, because that's where AP at rank 5 your ability power might start overtaking and doing quite a lot there anyway. But the Mega Inferno Bomb, that's the big thing, and I'm going to give this a go in the next couple days, maybe tomorrow. Missile speed used to be 1550, it's now 2250, so that is a 700 movement speed buff. In essence, it's close enough to be a 50% movement speed buff. That's pretty good. But it is a minimum travel time of 1.2 seconds. So what does that mean? If I'm not mistaken, even if you ult directly on top of you, so there's technically no travel time, it will still take 1.2 seconds from Ziggs to throw it for it to land. So that's the minimum time it has to be in the air for the animation. But anything like longer, it's going to get there quicker now. So that's actually really good. That's even better for cross-map snipes, you know, when Ziggs just lobs it, you know, and hopes to kill someone in a fight in bot lane. That's a big buff for that as well. So I'm also going to give Ziggs a go. There's actually a lot that I'm looking to play here. I'm going to play Mundo, the new Mundo again. I'm going to play Ziggs. I'm going to play Malphite maybe. Rammus will play again. That's probably it in the top of my head, but that's quite a lot to actually test and see what we're going to do. Bug fixes. Anything worth knowing here? Anything that I play Poppy. Steadfast Presence now probably works against Stride Breakers, halting / passive. Poppy's W wasn't working against Stride Breaker's passive. Again, remember that passive is getting removed from Stride Breaker, but still, that's really bad that wasn't working. Poppy's W is legit a block of mobility. That's hilarious. Upcoming skins is what we mentioned, and there we go. So not bad. Yes, I do think there are some things missing, as I've said, but what I would also say, let me know what you think. I would not always complain about Riot. Like, if they're going to just nerf random things, which appears what Riot's doing, I'd actually prefer they don't nerf things, and I'd prefer Riot just buff stuff. Like, yes, I do think the game is pretty imbalanced, but I don't think it's imbalanced because of champions at all. I think it's imbalanced because of items. So I actually would prefer if Riot was like, oh, these champions are just not really played right now. Let's buff them. Let's bring them up to everybody else's level instead of just nerfs. So that's what I would say anyway. But that's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed, do throw a like on it. Again, I'll get it out this video right now as the second video of the day. If you appreciate that, throw a like on it. Let me know what you think of the patch down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Please do subscribe, by the way, and ding-a-ling the bell. But I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.